Um, yeah, the story I was gonna tell you, I'm sure you've already heard this before, but the growth pattern of a Chinese bamboo tree, it won't grow for days, weeks, months, years, and then on the fifth year, it grows 90 feet in like 5 weeks,
In 5 weeks, okay.
6 weeks time frame, 90 feet. That's an analogy for just like all consistent work in general. Whether it's like working out every single day, you aren't going to see progress that could go to plateau, or if it's like reading and trying to gain knowledge. That's literally everything.
Yeah. Like you're not gonna go to the gym for 1 week and see results, and you're not gonna get smarter just by reading 2 books. But you will get a lot smarter if you read 100 books.
Right.
If you went to the gym for a year, 2 years,
Right.
5.
And also doing it every single day is like way more sustainable too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, if I think people get extremely motivated and they want to like read a book in like a week or a day or something like that, and like they'll read like 100 pages and they burn out and they won't read for like another month or two. But if you read every single day like 10 pages, that's way more sustainable, and it also builds way more of your identity in your system than if you just like intensely did it for like an entire day.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I feel like it's a pretty overstated point. People say like it's always about discipline and not bursts of motivation, but it's true. You know, that's why people keep on saying it. And a lot of times, these common sense or common knowledge it's
not so common.
It's not so common in application.
Right. Yeah.
People know it's good for them to go to the gym, but how many people actually go consistently?
Dude, and it's just so easy to say like you can do these things. Like talk is so cheap when it comes to this. Like, I think everyone falls into this trap. Even the most successful people fall into this trap where they say they're going to do something and then they try to practice consistency and it just doesn't work for them. So my thing is like, how come the most successful people have been so consistent for so long in doing things they love? You know what I mean? 'Cause everyone loves certain like aspects of certain things, and like whether it's working out or
like you can kind of find joy in whatever it is. Whatever pursuit it is.
Right. So I guess like, just how do people find discipline and motivation when every single day doing such like mundane tasks?
Yeah. I think the reality is people are motivated by results partially, and that's why it's hard for them to get past that initial phase of building a habit, because you're not going to see results.
Yeah.
Like for us right now, it might be easier to work out because you've seen what working out has done for you.
Yeah.
And looking at the mirror here and there, and you think to yourself, wow, this is what it's done for me. And it's easier
all the time.
Exactly. And it's easier to stay motivated because of that. But what do you tell someone who's just starting out? He's been working out for 2 weeks and it's been the worst 2 weeks of his life in terms of physical expenditure, but he hasn't seen shit yet.
Yeah, I was thinking about this too. Like some of the rich people I know, they'll go to the office and they get excited to go to the office for like 14, 15 days because they know that's what's making them money. And they've seen like them conducting business during the day tangibly make them a shit ton of money. So that's why they're so like inspired to go in and do the work when other people be like, wow, I don't want to do this at all. But they know that it directly correlates to like the number in their bank account going up, so they get fired up about it.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like very insightful knowledge, but I think that there's some truth to it. I think it's important that tying some kind of tangible goal to what you're doing is important, but also just falling in love with the process in general.
Yeah.
And that's like that's what most successful people do. They fall in love with the entire process and the art of doing, rather than completely based on the goal.
Do you think certain people are more attracted to certain pursuits? I mean, they got to be. Like, do you think for you personally, it was easier for you to work out because you had a natural tendency to like that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean,
or it's all discipline? You know,
I think your environment is really important. I think like growing up in like a very sports dominated like community, I was always like really inspired to be working out a lot. Mm-hmm. So that influenced me from a really young age. Mm-hmm. And once you create that identity of yourself, you lock in certain systems and habits that will follow you for a long, long time and are hard to break. I guess that's like, I don't know, how did your community establish some of your habits growing up in China?
Um,
It's
my
interesting.
parents were always really big on like education. For them, that was
Yeah,
like kind of the thing that, and they always like I think that's part of Chinese culture. It's like
sure,
education
sure.
is huge, and
Asia in general.
yeah, and like my grandpa like reads a lot of books. He writes a lot of stuff, right?
Hmm.
So I think being in that environment, like I mean, especially later on, I started to realize like reading books was important and like really starting to value my education, like in high school.
Totally.
I think that's my environment. Imagine growing up in a house where my parents are like, I don't know, working some sort of job where they don't value education as much, where that's their upbringing,
Yeah.
and they're like, you can go to college if you want, but you can also work at this company, and I wouldn't have as much of a desire to pursue college education,
I
stuff
think,
like that.
yeah, totally. I think that the conversation like nature versus nurture is a really hard discussion that I go back and forth on all the time with myself. Like, it's impossible to say that your environment didn't create like a lot of who you are. You know what I mean? If I grew
Yeah,
up in a very blue collar family, I'd probably be working in a very blue collar job.
right,
You know what I mean?
right.
And you grew up in a very educated family, and you go to USC, and like you're pursuing like, education and academia to a way larger level than anyone,
Yeah,
than another person.
and there's nothing wrong with like blue collar per se, because
Yeah,
society needs
of course not. Yeah.
blue collar, right? But the thing is, depends on what you want. Like if you don't want to work a blue collar job, and it's important to set yourself up in an environment where you're exposed to people
Yeah.
that want the same things, which is maybe
Yeah,
something else.
it can be hard to escape your community sometimes.
Definitely.
I think, especially like if you're in a small town or in like a really locked in ideologue society. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like a musician who's in like Arkansas or something trying to make it.
Yeah.
Like you get so much backlash and it just gets shut down so many times. You have to have the utmost confidence to do anything to even escape your town. You know what I mean?
Totally. And yeah,
So, I don't,
I mean, here's the thing. I think it's that's totally fair. We can't just be like, hey, you're work out more, read more, and that's what's good for you. But when they're in a different situation where someone might be from a town where there aren't a lot of gyms, there aren't a lot of books access to them, right?
yeah,
But I think that's not an excuse to not be cognizant of your environment and say, well, sure, I'm in a worse position than you to pursue certain things, but at least I know that for a fact. The first step is acknowledging, and then trying to design your environment as much within your limits to pursue that. Because you can't just be a victim and say, my environment's not good, I'm in a bad upbringing, so I'm going to give up and not pursue what I want.
Totally. I think awareness is the first step to realizing like any sort of problem. Like you need to be aware that like maybe I'm not where I am, or like maybe my surroundings and environment aren't supporting the person I want to be, the things I want to do. That's the first step in doing anything and to accomplishing any goal. But my question, or the book I was reading, the book we're reading, Atomic Habits, dives into the idea that some people aren't more just like purely more motivated or self-disciplined than other people, but it's based off the environment around them that they have less temptations to do the things other people are doing. So if you're in an environment that I don't know, like favors fitness and education and all these like healthy aspects, you are obviously gonna be way less tempted than someone that's constantly surrounded by I don't know, like fast food or like drugs and alcohol or whatever it is, and that will obviously lead you to like be more tempted to do things. And so your self discipline's always being tested, constantly being tested. So the key to the book talks about atomic habits. It's the key to changing your systems and your habits and ultimately achieving the goals and the place you want to be is not really just purely leaning on self motivation. However, it's to change your environment in a way that will shape your motivations.
Right.
And
And we talked about this the other day, how like our house, we don't have a lot of junk food in it, and everyone works out every day. And but it's about, if you know what you want in life, you have to be cognizant about designing it to be a certain way.
yeah,
So it's not like, hey, don't watch movies or don't stay up late or don't go to the gym. But if you do want to be fit, hey, here's what you have to be doing. You have to design your environment to fit that goal.
right, totally.
And whatever your goal is, if you want to be more artistic, surround yourself with people who are more artistic, or leave like paintings and like photography around the house that reminds you of your lifestyle, whatever.
Yeah, I think a cool goal like in terms of like losing weight, like we're trying to do right now, like we're cutting down, is you want to shape your environment in a way that's going to be beneficial to that. And one of the like tangible steps to do that is you can put a scale in the middle of your living room. So every time you walk by the scale, there's gonna say a trigger in your brain or a cue that's gonna set off where it's gonna be like, I need to check my weight. You're gonna check your weight, and if you see the number multiple times a day, that's gonna influence your decisions for the rest of the day. So simple cues like that can really make a big difference in terms of your habits and like the goals you're ultimately gonna set or like accomplish.
Right. Since we're on the the topic of goals and habits, any updates with your personal life in terms of goals, habits?
For me, I think I'm still hovering at like the 194 weight.
That's a big one.
It's a tough one. I've been reading. I've been pretty good about reading every night. I do this thing where I put my book on my pillow.
I like that a lot. Yeah.
So when I go to bed, I have to like move the book from my pillow. So it's a cue my brain to read before I sleep instead of just like scrolling on my phone. And dude, I've noticed that like really helps like my overall mood in the morning when I wake up for RTC and stuff.
What, having read something?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, dude, I have better dreams. I feel like I go to bed like with more positive mindset. And you wake up like ready to attack the day, rather than just like mindlessly scrolling and like looking for hits of dopamine that aren't like fulfilling at all.
What's the first thing that you do when you wake up? Do you look at your phone or?
I mean, everyone looks at their phone when they first wake up.
Right.
For me though, like half the time, like I'm either like late for ROTC at like 5 a.m, and I'm like kicking my sheets off and trying to hurry up, or I'm waking up like on a weekend, kind of hungover, like just checking my phone.
Right.
Which is not great. That's something I feel like everyone can try curbing. Like, how can we not check our phone the first thing in the morning? Because there's so many studies I feel like that show that's just not good for you.
It's bad. I mean, I think it's these type of things about like getting away from social media and technology gets harder and harder as our life becomes more intertwined with technology. Like no one has alarm clocks anymore, like physical alarm clocks. It used to be a thing 10 years ago, which the only way you wake up.
Well, passive alarm clock.
Right. Some people decided, and very few people.
Yeah, if you live in like the 60s.
Exactly. But it's like you need the phone to wake you up. You need to check the time. You need to like text your friend about coordinating where to be in the morning.
Right.
So it's harder. But I don't know. You can still be cognizant about, hey, let's not scroll 30 minutes of social media before you actually get out of bed.
Yeah, I think the best thing to do is get out of bed, not like get on social media, and go straight outside.
Get some sunlight.
Ideally, like sunlight. I'm sure everyone's heard that before.
Of course.
But I think like
Huberman.
It can really change your day. I feel like just like because you're putting yourself first. Ultimately, I think when you do that, when you go on your phone and you're scrolling to people's lives, like that's you like making an effort to see what other people are doing, and going outside and just being with yourself is putting an effort into putting you first. I feel like in a way, which is I think that in itself will set you up for success for the rest of the day, or put you in a positive mindset. At least it does for me. I don't know. Other people are like that.
Totally. I mean, there are like huge scientific studies on the detrimental effects of social media or being on your phone for too long.
Totally.
But I don't know.
Do you have a social media timer on your phone?
Yeah, it used to be like a 30-minute timer, but then it got kind of annoying because sometimes there'd be reasons where I want to use it for longer.
I know, dude. I have mine for an hour and for TikTok and Instagram, but I always do the whole like 15 more minutes.
Yeah, and it became a problem. Stupid. It's like the snooze timer. It became such a problem at a point where I'm like, this isn't actually not helping my life at all. I just turn it off.
Emic, one of our roommates, does this thing where after like a certain time goes off, I think it's like an hour or something, he like a password gets sent to someone, like a friend, and the friend has to give you the password for you to log onto your apps.
That's a pretty hardcore way of
that is
ensuring
hardcore.
You don't do something.
That's pretty hard though.
If you truly believe that's beneficial to you, then why not, right? It's like just don't buy cookies and force yourself to go to the gym. But I will say that.
See, that's a good idea. That's something people should consider.
What, like
just don't buy bullshit at the grocery store. I feel like there's, as long as you just didn't have it in your house, like that's like eliminating the cue and the trigger right there.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like so, just if you just went to the grocery store, maybe people just go to the grocery store like super hungry.
I read this thing like years ago. It's like if you're trying to go to the grocery store, make sure you eat first.
Yeah, duh. Like I go after the gym sometimes. Like, wow, I want to buy the entire store.
Yeah,
but obviously, like you can't do that shit. That's terrible.
Right. Yeah. What's your thought on social media? Because I kind of have
In general?
my thought about this have kind of changed recently. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's pretty generic to be like social media is not good for you, but then again, I think it's become so entwined in our lives, and like there's beneficial effects. Like, I don't know, like I make plans with people, I post like funny things, like
Yeah, totally. Dude, I think there's so many benefits of social media, obviously, along with like not so great things. And I think it's all just about awareness. Like, as long as you're aware that the apps are dopamine intakes, that it's just a slot machine, that these like buttons and lights are just meant to like, keep you on. As long as you can recognize that and you know that you're being like manipulated in some sense, then I think it's fine because you can regulate yourself further. But it gets dangerous when you think it's like completely beneficial when you can spend an entire day on TikTok.
yeah,
You know
TikTok
what I mean? That's
in particular can be dangerous.
fully, dude, because their algorithm is insane, and then like the whole the there's all like the little things they do that like make that keep you on the app. It's
Yeah,
just
it's designed to like hook you on. Yeah.
as long as you can recognize that and you have some kind of self awareness, I feel like you could use it for good.
Yeah, I think that's been a pretty big theme about today. It's not about shaming a certain lifestyle. It's about being cognizant about what you want and then actually designing it that way.
Yeah, interesting.
I have a really good story about homeless people.
Okay, yeah.
But so me and my
Our roommate got his bike stolen yesterday.
right,
By a
we
homeless
live in downtown LA, so it has a huge homeless problem. But the story is me and Sean, one of our roommates, we read physical newspaper outdoors sometimes in the lawn, and we're reading the Wall Street Journal, and then this homeless guy is rummaging through our trash, digging through bottles of food. And Sean brought up a good point. He's like, "What is this guy doing? Doesn't he have better ways to be spending his time to try to get out of the situation?" Sean said, "If I were him, I would be very strategic about how I improve my life. I would go to a public shower, try to convince a McDonald's to hire me for like a steady wage, buy at the stores, like learn words, read books, get intelligent, and then actually slowly climb out of poverty, right?"
Yeah.
And this is why I told Sean. I told him that's great, and that's probably what I would do too if I were him. But that's easier said than done because most people are kind of like that homeless person in a different way. Like if someone wants to get fit, but they're watching Netflix all day, it's like maybe they even know what they're supposed to be doing, but it's just hard to get in the momentum of doing it and being strategic. And another thing about like millionaires and people who have their own businesses, entrepreneurs, they're looking at our lifestyles and saying, like, these guys could be building businesses every day and trying to become a millionaire in 5 years.
We're the homeless people to them.
We're rummaging through trash by like going through our days, scrolling through our phones, even getting a 9 to 5, and like just living a life cruising by.
Like
and
these fucking idiots.
It's okay. The thing is, in our minds, it's all okay. It's because like we're rummaging through the trash. We pick up enough food that we're able to survive.
Yeah. Totally.
Or not being intentional about getting to where we want. Now, like I said, it's not about shaming 9 to 5, but if that's not what you want, and being fat and not being being fit is what you want, then you got to be intentional to do it.
Yeah,
that's the main point.
Yeah, I think that there's like levels of knowledge as well. You know what I mean? Like we have a higher level of knowledge than a homeless person around like going to the trash.
Exactly.
Like we can. It's easy for us to look at it from like a grand scheme of things. Like what is he doing? Like he needs to take these steps in order to get out of his position.
Yeah.
But there's some level of knowledge that like 99% of America doesn't know yet, and there's a ton of really rich people that have access to that knowledge. We just have to seek it. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing is like people, the biggest investment I think is yourself in your access to this knowledge and learning how to break that barrier and how to gain that. So the homeless guy invested all of his time into learning in spite of just like seeking the bare minimum. Mm-hmm. Like maybe he could like rise up and get out of this.
Yeah, exactly. We definitely have more knowledge than him from his perspective because we're at a different stage in life, right?
Right.
Naval Ravikant, he's the founder of AngelList, and he talks about, if put me in any Western country, English-speaking country, I'll be a millionaire in 5 years, guaranteed, because I know these ways of becoming it. Just like us, we can say, if I'm a homeless person, put me in this place in a year, I'll be not a homeless person anymore.
Yeah.
But just because you don't have the knowledge doesn't mean you shouldn't be intentional about trying to figure out what the path is to get there.
Totally agree.
If that's what you want.
Yeah, totally agree.
Because there are tangible ways to get there, and you can ask yourself every day, are you spending any time in any way to get to your goal? And if you're not, then you're not going to get there.
Yeah, completely agree with you. I think that it's so interesting to see, like, if there was a millionaire who was like a self-made man, started his own business, whatever it was, and made a ton of money. If you took all of his assets away, all of his resources away, stripped him bare, like, could he do it again?
Yeah.
And I think the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Because the most important asset he has is his brain.
Yeah.
First
of all, he believes he can do it because he's done it before.
Yeah.
That's like a limiting belief for people. It's like, I can't really get that fit anyway, you know?
Right.
So first believing you can do it, knowing what you want. He wants to be fit. He wants to be a millionaire. And then just taking the tangible steps. It doesn't happen overnight. There's luck involved, sure. Yeah. You have to be doing something about it to even have a chance at making it happen.
Right. Yeah. I think that's a great point. Just the fact that he believes that he can, and like he knows like the actionable steps to do it, then you can prove yourself right. But I'd be really curious to watch that unfold. Obviously, being a 22-year-old broke adult right now, you know what I mean? Like seeing like, hey man, like I need. Is there a secret sauce? I don't think there is. I think it's a whole process. But
yeah,
I personally believe that Steve Jobs couldn't even have a mentor, just because like his wealth of knowledge and his vision was like so far beyond anyone else. Like what the fuck are you gonna teach Steve Jobs? You know what I mean? Like he was onto something that other people couldn't see yet. And I think that's like with so many entrepreneurs. Like there's like you can't just seek the cookie cutter mentor. Like you can't just go to investment banking and like teach me how to like climb the ladder or teach me how to be a consultant and you know, get into private equity. You know what I mean? Like it's just like you have to carve your own path sometimes, and I think that's like what makes people truly unique.
Yeah, I don't think there's a set path for anything. Like it's not like even like getting fit. There's like, you know, there's cross training. There's people that get fit without going to the gym. You know, it depends on what your goal is. But I will say, like, for the majority of people, if you don't know where to start somewhere. Design your environment. And getting a mentor is, in a way, designing your environment for success.
Completely.
You know?
This is, in a way, us designing our environment
this podcast.
Doing this right now, having this conversation.
Yeah.
This camera is us spitting out ideas, thoughts, processes in which we want to pursue in order to accomplish what we want to accomplish. So for me personally, I want to build my own gym or build my own company related to fitness in some way. Mm-hmm. So me just talking about the process of doing that, and it really like sticks me to it. Or like having these kind of like types of conversations just does that. Yeah,
dude. In a sense, we're like taking a shot in the dark because we don't know the exact path to get to where we want. But it's like that homeless person. Just because you don't know what the goal is doesn't mean you shouldn't be attempting things.
Dude, I think you're unique. You have a sick job lined up in New York City that you could easily just take. You could work that for 10 years and you'd be so well off. You know what I mean?
But is that what I want?
Is that what you want to do? Like, do you want to... Here's the thing. Like, is it worth it to be a multimillionaire if you don't love what you're doing? That's a key question. Ask yourself that. If the answer is yes, then F it. Like, enjoy that.
I've been thinking about this more and more recently, and just to give people listening to this some background, like I have a job lined up in New York doing finance starting this summer, okay, and it pays well, and if I keep on climbing the ladder, like I'll probably make like I don't know, become a millionaire at some point, 30, 40.
Yeah, I mean when you're making like 6 figures or
7 figers maybe even someday.
6 figures entry level, like you work like 5-10 years, like you'll be making like $250K in a matter of no time. That, you know, with that income generating assets, you'll be fine. Yeah, but
so but I'll be fine. But here's what I've been thinking about. It's like your 20s is a precious time, and like do I really want to be spending 60, 70, 80 hours a week doing something if I don't truly love it? Not saying that not everyone should do that, but do I want to do that?
Yeah.
What I've been thinking a lot recently is if I can make, I don't know, $10,000 a month doing something else like podcasting or cinematography, whatever it is that I would find more true to like my heart,
fulfilling
as a pursuit, I would quit that job.
Dude, I would rather make way less money and do something I truly enjoy than like do some bullshit job and make a ton of money. That I really wake up and like, wow, I'm only going for the purpose of making money.
Yeah, and it's about happiness, but it's not even just about happiness. It's about like finances too. Because here's the thing: if you truly love something enough, you're way more motivated to put more time into it to make it successful. And you're gonna work harder than everyone else.
Totally.
I might be good at finance, but I might not work as hard as someone else because I don't necessarily believe that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Whereas the other guy that truly loves it, maybe he's not as good at.
You'll never be better than that guy.
Yeah, maybe he's not as good intuitively, but he'll work harder because he enjoys it. He'll do it in his free time.
He's gonna be way better than you.
Exactly.
Like it's inevitable.
So to win is to find what you love, because that's your true motivator.
Dang, that's deep. To win, To win is to find what you love. It's pretty cool. See that Jim Carrey had his dad was an accountant, but he really wanted to be a comedian. But he wanted to keep his family safe. He wanted income. He wanted the safety net of I'm not going to make it as a comedian, so like I need something there. So he became an accountant. He was making good money, 6 figures. Like his life was comfortable. His family was fine. But then he got fired, and now he has no safety net, and has nothing to do. So the point of that story is you can fail at the things you don't want to do, just like you can fail at the things you do want to do.
Right.
So he failed as an accountant. But he didn't even want to be an accountant. He wanted to be a comedian. Right. You know what I mean? But you could have failed. At least the moral story is if you're gonna fail doing something you love. You could have been a comedian and failed, and not have been okay because you just tried.
And it would have been failure either way. But you would have enjoyed the process and actually. And I mean, he loves being a comedian, right? Like he would have, like the failure would have been part of the fun, going up on stage and like,
ideally, yeah. You know what I mean? Like that's what you like to think. I think people get so scared by the word failure. What's your biggest fear? Everyone says failure. You know what I mean?
I've another story that relates to failure and like what people believe about themselves, like limiting beliefs.
Okay.
Our roommate Patrick, the one with the physical alarm, a little bit of an old school guy.
He has this bunk bed that we're.
He's our age, but he's an old soul, and he told me this story. It's about elephants. So there's these elephants in Africa. Story that. When they're growing up as little baby elephants, there'll be this twine, like a little rope that wraps around them that keeps them to like a leash to like a pole. So they can't really escape because they're a little elephant and the twine's strong enough that holds them there. But here's an interesting story. When the elephant grows older, the twine stays attached to them, and they're so heavy that they could easily walk out and break the twine, but they never do their entire lives because they've been conditioned to believe they can't as a kid because they've tried before 100 times as a kid that they can't break out of that twine, and now that there's something else, they have they have the ability to break out of it, but they don't even try, and they live and die attached to that twine.
Just like a lot of people.
A
lot of young people like us who have these like aspirations, goals, and missions they want to accomplish, but they're just so scared that they're I don't know, there's criticism or they're gonna fail.
We're just not believing they can do it. It's like maybe growing up, your parents didn't actually go to the gym. Your parents weren't entrepreneurs, but that's what you want now. Like I said, that's what we want. So we're talking for everybody. You can have different goals, but for us, maybe that's what we want. Maybe for some people, that's what they want. They just can't. They're afraid to achieve it or even try because they don't even think it's possible.
Dude, I think the biggest thing is just money. Like people are just like, how can I get started? I have no money. Like I'm gonna fail. Like if I fail, I'm gonna be broke. Like. I don't know. Like everyone just thinks like, oh, I need capital to start. Oh, I need like this to do something, and so that's why everyone chases the 9 to 5. They get caught up in this money chase, which I find myself in that all the time. Like, wow, I'm broke as shit. Like, how do I make money? You know what I mean? My mom's scared for me.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, dude. Money just doesn't like equal success right now.
For you?
In my eyes, no. Like there's some broke people right now that are going to be so rich in like 5-10 years because they're doing what they love right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's gonna pay off dividends later.
Yeah, and it goes back to the point of what is the point of money if you hate your
life?
What
you're doing? Yeah, that's a great point too. Like
life is a balance, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I don't know. I'm just not that comfortable just like working like a BS job that's gonna pay me well. I can't imagine waking up every single day like, oh, I'm going to work. Oh, but I'm getting a paycheck in 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Like, I want to wake up excited. I want to wake up inspired to do something I think is going to be like changing and meaningful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I will want to address like the caveat is that maybe some people are listening to this and they're saying, well, like they're USC students, they have like a good background, they have the choice to kind of pursue what they want. But what about me, where I don't have that education? I have to put money on the table for my family. I have to get that job at McDonald's or whatever I don't love because that's where that's what I have to do. And we're not like we don't want to shame that because there's certain things in life that you have to do, but end of the day, like you have 24 hours a day and you don't work 24 hours a day with your extra time. Like some people are in better situations, some people are in worse, but with the extra time you have, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to go above and beyond and try to break out of your situation and try to pursue listen to your heart and pursue what you really want? Or are you going to say that's good enough?
Better yet, what are you doing with the money you're raising from that job? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Are you investing it? Are you saving it? Like, are you putting it towards something that you think will pay off later? Like, are you putting it into your education? That could be a big one. Or are you just spending it on bullshit, like clothes and stuff that's not going to actually provide you or fulfill your dreams?
Right.
I think we fall into that often. I mean, I don't know. As college kids, I feel like it's so different sometimes. The more I'm talking about this, the more I realize how fucking privileged we are.
That's what I'm saying.
but
But that's okay.
We're extremely
But I
blessed.
think that's okay though. I think like we're talking from our perspective. We're not like judging. Like there's people that are even more privileged than us, and there are a lot more people that are way less privileged.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, you still have your own time. You have your power over your own will.
Right.
That's no excuse not to accomplish certain things that you want.
Yeah.
I think that's the kind of the end goal we're trying to.
What are
achieve.
some tangible things you want to accomplish today that are going to result in your goal in the future?
Yeah, dude.
This is one.
Yeah,
This is one.
Yeah, we're taking this class together, David Velasco. It's like this huge entrepreneurship class, and we have to write down our habits that we want to track. And the 3 I talked about was consistently work out like 5-6 times a week, which we already do. I want to start reading a book a week, which is pretty ambitious for someone who hasn't been doing that ever.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll aim for a book every 2 weeks to start with. But I
Or
do
like
want
10 pages a day.
Sure.
And you're going to read more than 10 pages.
Right.
So, I mean,
But I want to make it an objective, not just be like, yeah, let's read more. I want to make it tangible, right?
Sure,
So,
sure.
and that's another thing. And then upload a YouTube video once a week.
yeah, totally.
These are things to start with, and you gotta start somewhere.
I agree. Yeah, dude, I don't know. There's a lot to it. I think it's so easy to sit back and be like, here are, like, in theory, this is how you need to think. This is what you should be doing. But what really matters is making it super actionable, objectifiable, and tangible in a way where you're going to get it done. And it's going to look consistent throughout your day. You know what I mean? And that's different for everyone. Success, and also I find myself struggling with this every day. Success looks different every single time if you wake up. You know what I mean? Like some days you have it in you, and sometimes you don't. You know what I mean?
Like the motivation or whatever.
Yeah, or you wake up feeling like shit. You're sick, or you're super sore.
Right. But you can still, I don't know, show up to the gym, do a light workout, or at least get up.
You give your all, and your all looks different every day.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
Yeah, that's how I view it.
That's totally fair. Like in some days you don't have all the time to read 100 pages because you're busy with your school. And every day looks different in terms of motivation.
Right.
Yeah, maybe today you're busy with school. You don't have time to read 100 pages or even 10 pages. You read 5 pages. But and that relates to people's different life situations. Some people have a 9 to 5 to work and they got to take care of family. But do what you can with what you got.
Yeah, you don't have. It's about consistency, not intensity. I think like sometimes you're gonna work for like 14 hours a day. You can't go to the gym. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you gotta value sleep. You gotta sleep, getting your 8 hours. That's huge for me.
Right.
That's winning. That's part of me winning the day. Is me sleeping fully. So like it's so difficult to be able to like time manage all your little like goals, like habits, check marks in a day, but you find systems, you find habits, and you find ways to get it done, and it looks different for everyone.
Yeah. So I think that's a good place to wrap up for today.
I agree.
Yeah. It's been a
agree.
pretty lengthy podcast, but I'm glad we did it. Talked some great points today.
Yeah, I think anyone listening to this, just whatever you have to do today, think about if it's going to make you happy, and if it's consistent and aligned with your goals that you want to accomplish.
Yeah, if it's intentionally designed to be that way,
Yeah.
to somehow get you there, even if it's a shot in the dark.
Agreed.
All right. Till next time.
Nice.